Hi everyone, it's Swade with Coaster Explorers, and today I'm going to begin my reviews of some coaster models that I really think are underrated by a lot of enthusiasts. These are alpine coasters, sometimes referred to as mountain coasters, and I'll be starting my first review with my first ever alpine coaster that I rode, Wilderness Run Alpine Coaster in North Carolina. Wilderness Run Alpine Coaster is located in Banner Elk, North Carolina, manufactured by Wiegand, who is one of the most common manufacturers of alpine coasters, and it's in a fairly secluded area, making this coaster very scenic, as most alpine coasters are. Wilderness Run opened in May of 2020, and it's really the only coaster in that area. You do have an SBF Visa spinner about 30 minutes away at the Tweetsie Railroad, but that doesn't really compare. Wilderness Run is on the shorter side when it comes to alpine coasters, with a total length of about 2,900 feet, but around 770 feet of that is just the cable lift to the top of the mountain. The maximum speed possible is 27 miles an hour, and now would be a good time to kind of explain what I mean by the maximum possible speed. If you've never been on an alpine coaster, you basically get to control how fast you go. On most of the models, you're going to have two handlebars on each side of your cart, which, keep in mind, these are only one or two person carts, that you push forward to keep yourself moving. These handlebars can control how fast you go based on how far you push them forward. If you push them all the way forward, then you'll go to the maximum speed allowed for the coaster. But if you only push them down just a little bit, you're going to go slower. So it kind of gives you that control over your speed, which a lot of people like if you aren't super comfortable with high speeds or roller coasters in general. As an enthusiast, I always go full speed, but with the single car design and how open these trains feel, I could understand that the average guest may not want to go that full speed. Given the openness of the cars, some alpine coasters really feel like they go a lot faster than their listed speed. Wilderness Run is on the tamer side of the alpine coasters that I've ridden so far, but it's still a really fun ride. The only restraint that you're going to have on most alpine coasters, including Wilderness Run, is a seatbelt, and typically, unless you are riding with a child, these are one-seater coasters. You'll start your journey by taking a right turn out of the station and heading up the very long and relatively slow cable lift. You'll notice that some alpine coasters can have ride times listed up to 10 minutes, but oftentimes a lot of that time is eaten up by that slow cable lift to the top. Wilderness Run specifically takes about 2 minutes of its ride time to reach the top of the hill. Once you reach the top, you're going to turn left, push those handles forward, and start spiraling downwards into a helix. Once you exit that helix, you're going to come back and go through several twists and turns as you head down the mountain. You'll actually meet back up with that cable lift on your journey, which can be a fun way to wave to other people, especially if you have some friends who are riding with you who are going up the cable lift while you're heading down the mountain. There's also a short little section to the right of the lift hill with a couple little bunny hills that surprisingly do offer some minor airtime. Nothing too extreme, of course, because all you have holding you in is a seatbelt, but there's still a nice little fun transition in the coaster. You'll then turn around and head under the lift hill, spiraling downwards into a few more twists and turns before heading into those final breaks. Something that I do want to specifically point out for Wilderness Run is be careful when you go into those breaks. So you're going to be responsible for your own braking here, but don't fully let off the handle. If you just let off of those handles, you're going to come to a very abrupt stop and probably bash your head on the back of the train or the back of the seat. You can actually see from this clip right here back in 2023 that Carter from this channel learned that the hard way. Gradually pull those handlebars back to slow yourself. Just whatever you do, do not let them go all at once. Wilderness Run is a lot of fun, and I personally really enjoyed my ride on it. It was a very nice kind of beginner alpine coaster, if you will, that gave me a good feel for those types of coasters and kind of helped me to learn what to expect for future alpine coasters. My ride experience was also glossy smooth, despite some of the rather intense laterals throughout the coaster. The twists down the mountain are really fun, and like I said, those laterals gave the ride a good mix of intensity, but also it was just a very scenic ride and a very graceful ride. The only real drawback I had with Wilderness Run is it's definitely on the shorter side for alpine coasters. I mean, some of the ones in Dollywood are super long. This one was definitely on the shorter side. It was still fun, don't get me wrong, but overall, the climb up the mountain on this one takes longer than the actual ride down. Granted, this is the case for a majority of the alpine coasters, but just keep in mind when you're paying or when you're going into this one that it is kind of short. It's really hard to give alpine coasters a definitive score out of 10 because you can't really compare them to any other roller coasters other than other alpine coasters. I've only been on 5 alpine coasters up to this point, so it kind of gives me a limited selection of comparisons for Wilderness Run, but overall, I would give it a 9 out of 10. Alpine coasters aren't really meant to be these super intense rides with insane airtime or insane laterals, but they're meant to be fun attractions that just about anyone can enjoy. I don't see many enthusiasts talk about alpine coasters, specifically Wilderness Run, and I think that's partly because it's so out of the way. We only stopped in because we were already going to the Tweetsy Railroad that day on our way to Carowinds, but if you're in the area, I highly recommend stopping for a ride. Take that 30 to 45-minute detour and get your ride because it's a credit and it's a really fun alpine coaster. So with all that being said, let us know down in the comments what you think of alpine coasters. Do you like them or are they usually a pass for you? Me, personally, I really like them. I think they're underrated. I think enthusiasts overlook them just because they're not super intense, but I really appreciate the fun ride that they deliver. Leave a like and subscribe to Coaster Explorers so you don't miss any future uploads. And with that, we'll see you in the next one.